All right, everybody, we have another installation of another accessory for the 2025 Pro R that we picked up. This time it's going to be the winch and a winch mount. And let's see what we have here. I picked up the Super ATV 6,000 pound winch, and I picked up the L&W Fab winch plate. I think both of those together will make a nice combo. I was going to go with the Apex Badlands, the Harbor Freight, the Hobo Freight, and it is a really, really good winch, the 5500. I actually ran it on my XP1000, but what it did not have, what the Super ATV winch has, is a wireless controller, and that does come in handy. So for this one, we're going to have a toggle switch on the dash as well as a wireless controller instead of just a wired controller I used to have my other one. So once again, we have the L&W mount and the Super ATV 6,000 pound winch, the Black Ops. And we have the side-by-side sitting here. Got my tools all laid out. Got my old man seat sitting there. Let's get going on this. So what we're going to start off with is removing this piece right here. And I did not bring the right socket adapter. So I've sat down, I've already forgot what I needed. Be right back. All right, got my socket adapter. Everything on these things seem to be these torque bolts. So T40 is pretty common for all of these. What I am a little disappointed in is we're going to lose this nice cool red bumper here because you can't have that with the winch in there. So kind of stinks, but you know, a bumper's not going to get you out of a situation. We'll set that right back there. Yeah, push these push pins out of here. Just like that. Just like that. Now we got to take this out. 15. Ooh. That gives it a nice little pop of red, and unfortunately I can't use that anymore. Well, that's going to stink. But so here's what the front end looks like, all tore up. And that winch mount is going to mount to these, which are right on the frame. So let's get going installing. I think we got to put the winch in the plate first. So while we're at it, let's take a look at this bad boy. Super ATV 6,000 pound winch. That is a universal mount that we will not be using. You have your winch itself, which that is actually a good looking winch. You have all your wires. You have your cable stop. You have your toggle switch. And then this is what I was really after, right here. In, out, the wireless controller. This is your brains, the box. This is your fair lead. So exactly what I'm looking for. So let's get this unwrapped. That's a pretty good looking winch. I hope I don't have to use it that often, but we'll see it happens. This needs to get mounted to that. So that's what I'm going to do now. All right, I have this attached to the winch plate. So next step, I believe this will go, no, probably like that. Then the winch mount will go, or the fair lead will go right there. Using the supplied bolts and washers, bolt the fair lead mount to the winch plate as shown. The fair lead mount will go on the inside of the winch. I gotcha. They want it like that. So this goes to the inside. I thought they were talking about the fair lead itself. But, all right, let me get some screws and I'll get that buttoned up. All right, here we go. I got the second piece bolted to the first piece, which is bolted to the winch. So the only tricky thing is, yeah, you got to make sure that this piece is underneath this lip here, according to the directions. So that's all bolted up, ready to go. So now, handy dandy directions, bolt the fair lead to the fair lead mount. But let's get that fair lead on here. All right, quick note. So in typical Dale fashion, even though it wasn't in the directions, and I was trying to follow the directions perfectly, I forgot to unsecure the actual winch rope from the winch before I put everything together. So now, either I have to take it all apart again, or I'm trying to dig the winch rope out so I can feed it through here, so I can feed it through the fair lead and out to the front of the car. You know, you try. You really try to do it step by step. So let me fight with this a little bit. All right, we're back in business. So the problem was this winch line, I didn't undo before I stuck it in there. So when I had everything pushed up, this was all curled, all cattywampus in there, and I couldn't get it out. So I did have to unmount the winch again, pull it out, and then mount it back up. So, small mistake, but there's no project without something like that, right? So anyway, all right, we got that. Let's get this fair lead on. All right, I think we have the whole thing back together again. So we have the mount, we have the fair lead, we have the winch. This just needs to get mounted into that. So let's get that stick up there. All right, we have the winch mounted with the 4 bolts that we took out of the bumper. Once again, I really wish that bumper would be able to sit in there, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So it's what you have to give up. Now I just need to get the push pins stuck in there. So we have the push pins here. Pull that down. That really does nothing at all. Zero. Zero zip zilch. That does anything. Nope. Not at all. So let's put the rest of it together and see if there's something else I can stick in there. I don't know. I think I got the hard part done. I do need to get the wiring hooked up, so that's next. But take a look at this little mount. There's 2 things that I'm not real happy about. So let's take a look. So here's everything buttoned back up again. The 2 things I'm not really excited about is this big open space right here. I don't get that. I will have a skid plate piece that goes up into here, but I do not understand why that is sitting there. it's not for radiator cooling because the plate is right there. So I'm going to do a little research on that. And then the fit and finish, everything on the L&W mount was good except for this. And I know it's an off-road vehicle. It's going to get scratched and stuff, but this is brand new. So right now I notice everything. And the paint or the powder coat or something on that is just not what I would call fantastic. And it's right at the top. If it was somewhere that you couldn't see it, I'd be okay, but I don't know. I may actually just email them and ask them about it, see if I can get another piece, because I'm not happy with that. The winch went in great, especially after I got the synthetic rope through. But this is kind of funky. This is the part that I took off. It also has a little bit of a piece here. Yeah, like I said, if it's for cooling, there's a plate right there where the winch is anyway. So I don't know. It's interesting. So I'm going to look at that a little bit. But we are done. It's a very easy installation, not bad at all. In fact, everything that I've put on this Pro R has been easier than when I did my XP 1000, which is kind of pleasantly surprised. So, all right, that's it. We're going to get to the wiring next. I did get a little bit of a head start. I pulled the seat out, and that is a real easy thing to do. Just like all the side-by-side seats, there's a little lever right here. You tilt it up. This one, since it's an Ultimate, you do have to unhook this wire from the seat. That controls the heated and cooling seats. I know, a little bit ridiculous, but it is what it is. Yes, I have cooling and heated seats in the side-by-side. So don't forget to unplug that, otherwise we won't. And I paid for it, so we might as well keep it. So, got that out. I also removed the cowl from the front already, and that is just 2 bolts here and here, and now I'm getting ready to remove the dash. Interesting note, look at down there. That is an intake, I assume, and I think if I remember correctly, for the belt. So you don't want to dump a whole lot of water in there because that's going straight to the belt, I think. If I'm wrong, you guys will let me know. I know you will, but I think that goes directly to the belt housing. Anyway, we got to take this dash off, and that is what I'm going to do next. So here we go. All right, I've seen a few videos on how to take this dash apart, but this is the first time for me, so we're going to do it together. Our next step is to take these speaker pods off from the front speakers of the side-by-side. Speaker pod 1. All right, we gotta get this other pod off. Now these mirrors, I maybe put a little too low. I hope I don't have to take them off. So far I don't. Ah. There's a little wire in here that you just got to push that button to get disconnected. There we go. The pods just come off like this. So we're going to set that there and that there. This goes back in here. And you got to take this out. And then this has to get pulled out of there. Like that. All right, we got the center one out. We got the bolts out of this one. I got the bolts out of both sides. Now we should just be able to pop this dash right off. Oh, I might have to lift the mirrors up. All right, now let's see if we can get this up. There we go. One dash out. All right, what do we have underneath here? Lots and lots of access. This is your USB port. This is right behind the dash, which is really nice. Lots of room to get some stuff in there. Looking from the other side, here's your bus bar right here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 empty slots, which is nice. Lots of room. So much nicer than the XP1000. So much nicer. Wow. All right, I think the first thing we're going to do is get some winch cables mounted. We have the main switch or relay, kind of the brains of everything. So this will go to the battery, as well goes the winch, and then it goes to the controller. These two wires go from this to the winch itself. These two wires go from this back to the battery. So the next thing that I think I will do is see what the best way is to route from the battery here through the dash up into here so we can connect into that. So I think I'm going to have to fish a wire through here, and I can do that by taking these off and just kind of prying it up there. So we're going to see if we can get that done. All right. All right, I got these pulled out, and I think I can get a fish wire through there. I'm hoping, so I don't have to pull all this out. I don't want to do that because all I'm going is from here to up here, so that shouldn't be a big deal at all. So let me get a electric fish and see if we can get through there. So yes, I happen to carry some wire running fiberglass poles that I'm going to try to stick from there to up here, there to up here, and see if I can do that. So I don't know which way to run it. Let's try to run it from the dash back into here again. So you tell me if it comes through or not. I can already tell that is not going to work. Now, I wonder if I can just take the wire and move it to underneath here. Let's give that a try. This may actually work better. So if I can get this curled up into there and this the same way, I think we're in business. So let's see what I can do here, fish it through. So now I need to find a place for the actual winch controller. I think there's a lot of people that set it here. I could set it here. But I also have to remember that I have that intercom coming in that needs to go somewhere. And then I also have my blinker controller that needs to go somewhere too. But I'm thinking I kind of like that right there. I'm thinking I kind of like that. And that may be the place for it. So we're gonna have to get this mounted up there like that somehow.
B-roll.
B-roll, taking off. So these are the battery wires that are going from the battery to the controller. And I'm gonna install these wires. They're not hooked up to the battery yet, but they are ran to the battery. And then these other wires go to the winch. And I'm going to hook everything up here because my hands aren't small enough to get where it's going to be mounted.
What's red?
Red goes to the battery positive, black goes to the battery negative, and then the yellow and the blue both go to the winch. And depending on what's positive and what's negative, determines if the winch goes out or in. So it can be both positive and negative.
That's so tricky.
Tricky. It's a good thing we have a little black box that keeps track of all that. We have the winch controller mounted securely. I was able to put it right here where I believe the Polaris one goes as well. But I did have to drill a hole in this one, but on this side I was able to use the threaded insert that's already there. So these need to get sent down to the winch, and this, which I already have plugged in, is the rocker switch, which will be put in there. And I may actually have to undo that again to get it through the hole, but I thought it'd be easier if I just got it all hooked up. And these two need to go down to the battery. So let's see if we can get these let's see if we can get these wires mounted and snaked through. But the winch controller is in there and it's snug, so that is good. All right, let's see what we can do about these dang winch cables that go all the way down into there. There is a nice little pass-through right here, which I think I will absolutely utilize and hit down here and then directly to the winch. Well, I am afraid we're gonna have to zip tie that up, make sure it doesn't hit the control, the A-arms going up and down. Last thing we want to do is rub a hole in it. So if we maybe add some more and get that zip tied up. Yeah, that'd be better. All right, 10mm wrench. Let's tighten those up. That is all buttoned up. going up around there. We're going to zip tie this up right through here. Make sure there's nothing going on spring-wise. All right, we have made some progress on the wiring of the winch. Super winch, 6,000 pound. Ooh. So, let's have a little review of what's going on here. We used a L&W winch mount, and that is back there. And we have a Super ATV 6,000 pound winch. We have the wires coming up through here, behind the radiator, up through the firewall, into the dash, and onto the winch controller right here. From the winch controller, we have the toggle switch, which goes in to this right here, your toggle switch. And we also have a positive and a negative battery cable running down the dash, behind here, through here, and right here into the batteries. Now they gave you plenty of cable, so we're going to chop that off right there, put some new ends on it, and hook it up. I do have to hook this wire up yet, and I'm going to hook this wire to a switched hot, and I'm going to combine it to the blinker kit that I have. And that's actually what this wire is here too. As you can see, I put the blinker switch on the rocker panel. So all that's left is to hook that wire up and to shorten these cables. And we have a working winch. So next, we have the blinker kit. All right guys, welcome to the future. It has been about 3 weeks since I started the install on some of these accessories, and in typical Dale fashion, I really didn't finish it up. So we're going to take a quick walk around. I am currently in Utah, and yes, you will see these videos in a couple of weeks, but we're sitting in Utah, and I just wanted to show you the finished product. So for the winch, we have it installed. I have the stop right there, and then for the electronics, and yes, the side-by-side is filthy. It rained a little bit here out in Utah, but we have the winch controller right here. Now FYI, these switches will not fit directly in here. You do need to buy an adapter to push this switch out a little bit. If you mount these switches directly into the fascia back there, this part will not fit in. So you have to get an adapter, and I'll put that link in the description, and that'll push these out a little bit so this fits in there properly. So anyway, we got the winch in and out. We also have the wireless controller right here. So to use the winch, you can use the wireless controller, or if you're in the cab, you can use the cab mounts. So that about does it for the winch install. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Let me know what you have done on your side-by-side. That makes it a little bit more comfortable. All right, see you guys.